Hello and welcome, or welcome back to Read Becca. We are starting off well with this, my very first inaugural vlog, in that I forgot to film an intro. I was pretty sure I did one and then I couldn't find any clips, so I don't know, maybe a fever dream. So this is a vlog. The theme is reading through 2022 sci-fi and fantasy novella releases. I had a whole stack, and in fact that stack grew beyond what I had originally intended, but I had a great time. I had initially kind of a long weekend that I wanted to target, and I wound up taking that long weekend and then extending it to the next regular weekend as well to get through all of the novellas that I wanted to. So novellas are a certain word count length, so I'm pretty sure all of these do actually fit in order for me to use them as potential nominees for the Hugo voting. The Hugo Awards are awarded at Worldcon every year, and the deadline is April 30th to have all your reading done and nominate. And I was specifically targeting things in the novella category. I've got a few novels that I'm working on now in April, but I don't want it to be too long-winded before we dive into the vlog. Quickly, I did read all of these novellas as well as one online, so I have a lot of coverage here. So I think I'm gonna have to probably split the vlog. Because I was taking a long weekend, I did some boring stuff as well that we will leave out of the vlog. You don't need to see my emissions test and getting new license plates and taxes done, that kind of stuff. We skipped it. We have lots of cat footage for you, a little bit of outdoor footage, some wild weather in the area, and so it'll be just hopefully a good time. So thank you for tolerating my first vlog. Hopefully there will be some good times in there. It is the first morning of my break. I should be reading, but I'm not, because someone is being very distracting. Yeah, Ripley's need loves, huh? Update number 1. We are 34 pages in. Getting into this, I'm reminded how great Rebecca Roanhorse is at just writing, just in general from a prose standpoint, but also world building. So world building immediately draws me in. It feels a little info dumpy and unnatural at the beginning, but I'm really enjoying the start of this and kind of I'm interested in what is being set up in this world. So is Ripley. And you can only have 1 cup of coffee per day. You have to enjoy it. This is Caldi 700. Fill my coffee maker. Making some hash browns.
Issue 184, our longest of the year so far.
Well, hello again. I apologize for the shaky cam, but that's the fun of vlogs, right? So you will see I did my workout and I started listening to Bishop's Opening by R.C. Garcia, which is available to read or listen to from Clark's World Online. So it is in my online novellas to get to, and I have finished my first novella from the library, and that is Tread of Angels by Rebecca Roanhorse. So I feel very mixed on this. I didn't love it. It feels a little all over the place and feels like so much of the world building is info dumpy and also really unnecessary. It doesn't add anything to the plot. So we are following Celeste and Mariel here, 2 sisters who are fallen angels. And Celeste is our POV character. She's kind of she works at a saloon because this is, for some reason, a weird Western setting. I don't really understand why that was. It seems to be set dressing. We never find out why this part of heaven or hell or limbo or wherever this is, why it's Weird West. But Mariel, her sister, wakes up in bed with a dead man who has been castrated. And naturally, the higher up angels, the virtues, haul her away, and Celeste is left trying to prove her innocence. So she starts, sort of sleuthing around. So it turns into a murder mystery, basically. But all of that, the angels, there's different sort of strata of angels. There's the virtues at the top, elect and fallen, and that doesn't really ever serve much of a purpose. I didn't understand why we needed all of that sort of extra detail. I don't know why angels were important. And it felt like there was a lot of world building that was info dumping, or even done in the right way, where the character is learning things at the same time we are. So we're shown rather than told. But it makes no sense for that to happen, assuming that this character has been an angel forever and lived in this place forever. We're in Goetia, which I don't know if it's a town or if that's the whole sort of region of the underworld that we're in. I don't know. But wherever this location is, you would think she would know kind of basic things about that area. And instead, she's learning things like, I would think she would notice that there's a giant elevator going from heaven to hell. Like she would have heard about that at least, But instead, she is like, oh wait, there's an elevator here. Like weird stuff. So I definitely was not on board with that. The writing, from a pure prose standpoint, I really liked it. I do like Rebecca Roanhorse's writing immensely. So that was great. The world building didn't work for me. The characters, I didn't really get behind. The murder mystery, I just didn't care about. And it felt so much like everything about this being Weird West and the angels was unnecessary. It was not integral to the plot at all. You could completely take both of those things out and not change the story one bit. You could just make this humans in modern day and it would work just fine. I felt a little underwhelmed. I'm kind of disappointed. I had high hopes for this one. So hopefully my next one is better, even though I knew the end by C.L. Polk. Another angel-y one. So hopefully this one with angels goes better. Sorry, Ripley wanted to assist just in time for me wrapping up the video. I haven't been laying on the couches as much to read since my dog passed away, because I can just sit on my main reading chair or lay on my bed, whatever. But cats were acting weird about me sitting here. So Rue decided to flop himself across my legs. It's a good spot, huh, buddy? So, yeah, we're in bed, wrapping up the day. It's evening, and there's a cat. Are you a tall cat? Oh, good stretch. Good job. Anyway, so yes, wrapping up the day under my electric blanket because it's warm, and I finished up Even Though I Knew the End by C.L. Polk, and I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed this quite a bit more than Tread of Angels, and the main thing is exactly what I mentioned with the previous one, was it didn't really integrate the world building into the plot, and here it does. So we are following our character Helen, who is kind of, she's professional in that she does get paid, but she is sort of like, it's a side hustle that she's a private investigator, and someone has hired her to sort of solve the impossible crime, and that is the white vampire killings. Serial killer is going around murdering people in a very ritualistic way. And no one believes there are actually vampires there, but there are actually angels and demons in this world, and everyone seems to know that. This is also in a 1940s Chicago setting. So both the angels and demons aspects, religion in general is a big element, as well as the period are all huge elements to the actual plot and the murder mystery of this. So I think that was very well done comparatively, and it kind of knocks down Triad of Angels a bit even more, to be reading this and have seen it done so well. In this one, our character has both a prominent relationship with another woman. So she's in a relationship with this woman, Edith, who is very religious and really devout, constantly kind of going to her parish to serve different things there. And yet they're lesbians. They are sort of thinking that if they can get through this job, basically, then they will have enough to move to San Francisco and start a life together there, that they're not able to have in Chicago in this time. So I think that was really well done. And then there's also another prominent relationship with her brother, Helen's brother, Ted. Very early on, we find out they have a kind of strained relationship because of important reasons to the story. And I think that was well done as well in such a short novella. It's only 130 pages. It did so great in developing the characters, in world building, and integrating all of that into the plot and making it a really compelling plot that actually does make sense and really moves along quite well. It's got some twists and turns without being completely out of the blue. There are choices that make sense. So I like this one very much. I think definitely one of my higher up novellas in my reading so far for 2022 releases. As usual, I have an assistant. Hi Rue, good morning. So it's morning and we are getting ready to start book number 3. Are you a tiny gargoyle, Gumbo? I think she's thinking about just hopping right down on Ripley's head. You're very helpful as a book stand. Do you know that?
His own, folded across flat chest. Your name and pronouns? Sebastian. In the expectant silence that followed, he instinctively...
Well, it looks like I will not be going up the stairs, because I am surely blocked. Rue. Hey. We're editing April TBR. You guys will see this after it has gone up. But yeah, it's a lot of effort editing even just an 11-minute video. I am maybe half of the way through this. This is 190 pages, so nearly halfway, and really enjoying this. I'm going to take a break to go to the store, but for now, my thoughts are really liking that it catches us up, or seeds in the information you need to know from the first book really well. I'm liking the world building aspects of this, where we are kind of getting a bigger picture, but it's through very mundane things that the nuns of this spaceship are kind of doing all the planning that you would expect. Like, they're thinking about supplies, what they need, and calculating that, thinking about that day-to-day mundane stuff and what they have to manage when they go into a port, for the fact that they are really long range, going into deep space, sort of away from supplies and things. So yeah, I like that. I like a little fantasy and sci-fi with bureaucracy and paperwork. A lot of admin definitely here. So it's my sort of thing. Really, really enjoying it. Look, the buns are out. I can barely see them. They're too far away. I finished Sisters of the Forsaken Stars last night, and I forgot to wrap it up before going to bed. So, wrapping up before I head out today, I really enjoyed it, but I think there's a drawback in that it like went kind of off the rails in the last 10% or so, and was kind of hard to follow at times. It tried to really lean into action and plot, and none of that is what I liked. I wrote, none of that is what I liked initially about it. I had been really enjoying just the quiet sort of story of these nuns inhabiting a ship in space. They were sort of not on the run, but trying to get away from their reputation surrounding what happened in the previous book. And there's a real conversation there at the beginning about choosing to do what's right versus choosing to do what is up to the religious dogma, and the pressures of adhering to their religious sect. Things like that really were so well handled. And not only that, we're getting these great women. A small group of women are the cast on this ship, and they're so used to being capable and handling things independently, often far-flung space where they have to do everything and take care of everything, and they're used to micromanaging all of their sort of supplies. Everything to do with that is on their minds through the beginning of this story. So I love that bureaucracy and admin aspect of it. However, then it gets into the political, and there are certain conversations about the politics of this world and what's going on, that the way that they're being perceived after everything that happened in the previous book is not quite true to what occurred. And so I loved that element of kind of the perception, and it's not quite to propaganda, but there certainly is a conflict there that they're playing into religious and political issues that are currently a problem for the people that are just living in this world. And so I found that very, very interesting. In this sort of quiet novel, it really starts building into something more. But then at the end, like the last 10%, really tried to ramp up the stakes of things, and I just don't think it needed it. I really was so into the interpersonal discussions and the kind of smaller scale. So that was a disappointment. I also had trouble following it because we kind of jumped around, and it didn't really make sense to me where people were positioned at different points. So I had trouble following that, and I did reread it a couple times at certain parts and still couldn't grasp what was going on. So that really bums me out, because up until that point, toward the end, this would have been like my favorite of the novellas that I've read from 2022, and I really was loving it, and then just kind of didn't work for me in the end. So that is it, I think, for Sisters of the Forsaken Stars. I've got stuff to do this morning, and then hopefully I will be back to start another one. We will see. Just realized there's a tiny baby dove in there. Hi. Aww. Back again. It's later afternoon, And I finished up Bishop's Opening by R.C. Garcia. I listened to the audio, but this is from Clark's World magazine, so it's available free online, both in print and audio. I didn't really like this. There wasn't anything overtly wrong with it, but it felt very slow, and I'm not really sure what the point of the story was. I kind of wish I had DNF'd it because I kept going since someone, I can't remember who on the Stitch and Bitch live stream, said it was one of their favorites for the novella category from what's available online, and I didn't get it. It seems very like trying to do a space opera on a smaller scale, so it's, as I said, very slow paced, and it doesn't have the grand sweeping or political stuff that I would expect from space opera. So I don't really know. It was not poorly written. I just didn't get along with it, and it did not pull me into the story in any way. I mean, the characters seemed all right. I think that was the one thing that it really had going for it. But there was very heavy use of dialogue that seemed kind of clunky. I didn't really see why everything was so talked out. Every scene we had, basically. Yeah, so I'm not sure I got this one. Just not for me. Nothing terribly wrong with it. But so that's 4 down now in novellas. So let's see if we can finish up one more before I finish the vlog. I'm very committed to bird watching. Well, I'm back again, but I think we're gonna pause. We're gonna put a pin in this vlog. I've made the executive decision to put it on hold until next weekend because I grabbed another novella. So I have 3 novellas that I do want to finish now. This is January 15th by Rachel Swirsky. I did start it. I didn't finish it. I'm only about 4th into it, not quite a 4th. And my brain is not working with this. I'm liking it. I'm liking the writing, but it's jumping between 4 perspectives very rapidly. And so my brain's not working with it. We're going to put it on hold until the weekend. I might start one of the other novellas, but I think really I'm going to focus on my other reading stuff, probably Redwall. I want to finish that one up. So I'm going to take a break and then dive back into the novellas full bore, I think. Because obviously we went hard. We got 4 done, so I'm not going to hold it against myself that I didn't get all 7 now completed. So we'll see if we can get all 7 completed and then post this vlog.